looks like it's eating another feathered animal. Holy cow. Tino's been a freak. Hi everybody, it's cold, it's getting dark. And the melons are on the vine. Today I felt was the last day that I was gonna be able to pick all these basil leaves out of the garden before they'd burn with the frost. So, Tino helped me. We're gonna make pesto. Pesto is a sauce that was originated in Genoa, in Italy, around the 16th century. The name pesto comes from, I guess, to pound, but it really isn't pounded, it's grinded. And it's made with 4 ingredients: pine nuts, which in the United States you can mainly get from New Mexico, places like that. They come from pine palm or pine, I don't know what to call it. Then you can use also Parmesan cheese, garlic, we're going to use 2 cloves, and as much fresh basil as you can smash into a blender. Back in the day, my mother always made it with this. She'd put a few basil leaves at a time in a mortar, and she would grind them with pestle like this. Maybe that's where the word pesto comes from. And then after that, she'd put them on the side, crush the garlic in here. Same thing with the pine nuts. But I think we're gonna do it the fast way with the food processor. And it's a pretty simple process. You just have to make sure everything is fresh. First, I'm gonna rinse off the basil. The first thing I'm gonna do is grate some Parmesan cheese. I have about a half a cup here, but I'm gonna go with this New York Times recipe which says cup, and I want to try and see. I actually am testing this recipe to see if comes out the way I expect it to. You can find it very easily on the New York Times website. Just Google pesto. We used to use this quite a lot when we were kids. My mother, she liked making it. And we would put it on pasta. And sometimes you could put it on steak. I tried using pesto a couple of times on eggplant parmigiana. It's one of the layers, and that came really good. My husband uses it when he makes like a quick pizza or even a regular pizza. He makes fantastic pizza. And quick pizza is like pita bread with tomato sauce on it and mozzarella cheese, and a basil leaf, or you could put some pesto on it, and maybe a tomato sauce or not, whatever you want. But use your imagination. Pesto, you could use it for a million things. It's an amazing flavor, and you don't even have to use basil. You can use chives. You can use different leaf herbs. We use it a lot with this plant that we call ramps. You can find them in the woods. They kind of look like scallions, but you just use the leaves, chop it up, and it's very good with pesto instead of using the basil. In French, they call it bear garlic, like you know, a bear. I don't know why. It doesn't look like a bear or anything, or a bear's ear or anything like that. But ramps, I think they call them. There might be another word for it. I'll look it up. Okay, let's see how much we have now. And you can, okay. You can use your imagination, put it on pretty much anything you want. You could put it on mashed potatoes. You don't even have, or even roast, what do you call it, baked potatoes. How about baked sweet potatoes? That sounds good. I mean, it just goes with so many things. How about that, huh? Just right. Voila. I have my pine nuts, half a cup. I have 1 cup of Parmesan cheese. That's an awful lot of Parmesan cheese. I have a lot of basil here. Let me see how much I can squeeze into a 2-cup measure. Then I'm going to smash the garlic. And we're going to use a regular food processor. I think, and we're going to pulse it. By pulsing it, you're not like whipping it into a frenzy or crushing it too much, or because in principle you're not supposed to crush it, you're supposed to grind it, you know, as I said with that mortar and pestle. Oh yeah, I got plenty here. This is great. And that'll release all the aroma of the, by grinding it, you'll release all the aroma of the basil into the sauce. Voila, look at this. So I have this much. I'm not going to smash it in there. I made my point. We're just going to put all that. First we're going to start off. This is really a simple recipe. The thing is, you need a lot more basil than you think. These other leaves I still have left over here. Isn't that pretty? Can you smell it? It smells wonderful. And this is olive oil. I need 3/4 of a cup. But I'll measure that out after. And also some salt. I think I'm going to use, where is it? Pink salt. And I'm going to grind it in there too, and that always helps. All right, first thing we're going to do is we're going to put the basil in the food processor, and we're going to grind it. By the pulse movement. Once in a while you gotta, you know, push it down with the, or else with the spatula. I don't know what you call this. I guess it's called a spatula, because if you don't, you're just gonna get everything down at the bottom too ground up, and the top won't be ground up enough. A couple of years ago we were in Sicily, and they made the pesto that we had there with pistachio nuts, because either they don't have pine nuts, or they have pine nuts, but there are so many pistachio nuts in Sicily that they make use of them. The two big food products from Sicily that are known the world over are pistachio nuts and lemons, and both are like, they come in, well, the lemons come in many different kinds. It's not just like a little lemon like we have here to put in lemon juice or whatever, but they have big ones. You can make salad with it. And they all have different tastes. It's just fabulous. I love it. Here we go. Let's see if we're going to be able to do this. Ben. All right. Of course, as you start grinding this or pulsing it, let's say, it diminishes. It gets less volume. There's less and less volume. Try and work what's in the bottom. Push it down on the sides, and then eventually you'll get the whole whiz bang here. You can see that on the side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to heat up the oven. Let's try and get a little fusion going here. I'll heat up the oven, and I have some in my freezer. I have some biscuits from South Carolina that we bought in South Carolina when we were down there, and I froze them. And I'll heat up the biscuits, and then we'll have pesto with biscuits. Try it out. Sounds like a good idea, right? I know, I'm amazing. Oh, here I have 6 biscuits, and when the oven beeps, I'll put them in there. And then in a half an hour or so, maybe we can have some pesto on biscuits. This is going to be our 4th pulsing session, and I think that might be the whole thing. We're almost down to a very uniform ground basil mixture. Okay. You know, sometimes my husband, when he uses pesto, he'll put some heavy cream in a pot, and then he'll add some pesto and put that over pasta too. That's really good too. It's kind of like more like a cream sauce. Cream pesto. That works great. My husband's a very inventive cook and very good cook. Okay, next I'm going to smash a couple of cloves here. Whoops. It's getting messy, my plan de travail. All right, smash a couple of cloves, and we'll throw them in. Oh, time to put the biscuits in the oven. Okay, so don't be stingy with your garlic. You know, I use some big cloves because that's what really gives the tang to this, more so than even the Parmesan cheese. The pine nuts are it's more texture than taste. They're not very bland, but they are kind of bland. The basil is aroma, but it's not got a lot of flavor itself. So you want to really set everything afire with this. Okay, let's put this in here. And then we're going to pulse again. After that, we take our ½ cup of pine nuts, sprinkle them all around, and once again, grind, pulse. That smells amazing. Now, Parmesan cheese, a lot, a cup. distribute that in there. This, of course, you don't have to do a lot. Now it's really starting to take on the characteristics of a classic pesto. All right, now, last big ingredient would be 1 cup of olive oil. Not too expensive, but totally acceptable. And we're supposed to use 3/4 of a cup. But I think what I'm going to do is, I think that's a lot of olive oil. I think I'm going to start with a half. And then, voila. Start with a half. We're going to drizzle it in. And then we'll see if we need more. Add a little at a time. Okay. Oh boy, that looks pretty good. This should last us until, should, but you know, we don't know. But it probably will last us the whole winter, throughout the whole winter. I think that a half a cup is just fine. I don't think you have to be too generous with olive oil. Now is the taste test, and then we're going to decide how much, if we need, and how much salt we'll put in. Okay, looks pretty good, huh? Look at that consistency. It's finely ground, but you could still see each piece. It's not mashed. It's not too coarse. It's not liquidy. Okay, it looks pretty good. It's here. It's good. It needs a little salt. It's very tangy. And I'll stir it around with the spatula. And give it one more taste. You don't want it to be too salty either. Then you just taste the salt. It's good. All right. So that's it, guys. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to immediately put it into a jar. And then whenever you want to have some pasta or something, you take a couple of tablespoons of this. You can put this on top, make it look decorative. Take a couple of tablespoons of this, put it in a bowl of pasta or whatever, as I said before. And you don't have to be too liberal with it. You can be pretty conservative, and you're still going to get every advantage of every ingredient that's in here. It packs a wallop without being overly nuts. This is my least favorite part of using a food processor, is the awkward time you have when trying to get every bit of goodness off of these sharp and uncomfortable tools. Okay, let's do it this way. I have 2 pressed cups of basil leaves. This is how much pesto you're going to get. 2 cloves of garlic, which is not much, but big ones I used. And 1 cup of Parmesan cheese, which is probably the most expensive. Well, there are 2 rather expensive ingredients in pesto. One is the pine nuts. They cost a fortune, unless you live in a town or a country where they're around. And the Parmesan cheese, which has to come from Parma, of course, and it's very special. Both of these things are definitely worth paying for all this pesto that you're going to get. It's going to last you all winter. You could use it pretty frequently too, because you don't have to use a lot. And in my humble opinion, you can try every kind of pesto brand in the world, and you'll never have anything that's more than 50% as good as fresh that you make yourself. And look at how simple it is to make, especially since they invented the electric fruit processor. You don't have to sit there all night and bang the dickens out of it with this thing. It took a long time. My mother had pretty cool arms, I'll tell you that, because she was always doing this, and then she was moving it around and banging it like this and moving it around. And you can only put a few leaves in at a time. You can't put in 2 cups, you know, concentrated into a 2-cup measure. Almost finished here. Sometimes we'll, make a little extra, or I still have some of those basil leaves left. I think I'll make a small one for my daughter. She uses them a lot too. She's the one who taught us how to make my daughter is the one who taught us how to make the pesto with ramps. Okay, I got a little more than a half a jar. Okay, now we're gonna wait a few minutes for those muffins, those biscuits, and I'll clean up in the meantime, and then we'll be back to do a taste test. Thanks for staying with us so far. Let's take those little southern biscuits out of the oven and try them with a little pesto on top. See what it comes out to, like Southern Italian or something. Okay. All right, here's the biscuits. Your typical, I guess you would call them baking powder biscuits. I'm not even sure. Okay. Let's try and slice it right here. There you go. Good. And very conservative smattering of pesto on each half. And then see how it tastes. Pesto on southern biscuits. Not bad. The biscuits are very powdery, which I think is good. And the pesto is tangy and has a lot of flavor, aroma, kind of flavor. It kind of goes through your nose. Garlicky, The pine nuts are just the right crunch. And the garlic. It's garlic, what can I tell you? Really good. So, if you get home like at 8 o'clock at night, from work or a hike, you don't want to make crepe. You don't want to go through the whole process of making pasta or whatever. Just bake up a couple of these biscuits, put the pesto on top, take a cup of tea or a nice glass of hot wine, warm wine, what do they call it? I guess in English they call it mulled wine, but yeah, they call it warm wine in French. Vin chaud, nice glass of vin chaud. Sit in front of the fire or the radiator and eat a couple of these. Nice glass of wine, you're ready to hit the hay after a long day. I think it's a good idea. Well, thanks a lot for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And I learned something if you didn't. Thanks a lot. Bye. See you soon.